Mangione has done more to facilitate a sort of revolution towards universal health care with one shot. And that has done more than Bernie Sanders in 2 presidential runs could have ever done. Because now the people in power are actually scared shitless. You see it every day. You see it in the news coverage. And as you pointed out earlier, it doesn't matter that he profits through a form of mass murder. It matters that he's in the class. He's in the club. He is accepted. He may be murdering people, but as Bill Burr has pointed out, he's doing it clean. He's not actually getting his hands physically dirty.
Yep.
And that's acceptable. It's acceptable if you're an insider trader. Look at Nancy Pelosi. Look at Debbie Wasserman Schultz. We say it all the time. They are so brazen in their corruption and their criminal activity, but they are a part of the club. And when you're a part of the club, you're allowed to get away with it. Well, perhaps things are actually changing now. And it only took one shot. Remember how it only took one shot to start the Great War? Well, maybe it took one shot to actually facilitate the workers' revolution in the United States. We'll know soon enough. But here's what's going on with Luigi.
I hope it makes it more accountable if you
Solidarity! Solidarity!
Help over wealth. Okay, let's just do it. Yeah.
Help over wealth! Help over wealth!
They don't have to.
Help over wealth! 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 Help over wealth!
Personally, I am not very optimistic. There has not been that much time yet since the arrest of this alleged shooter. So, but with the reaction that we've seen so far from the national stage, comments from the media, the actions of our local law enforcement, I am not very optimistic. It seems that they're trying to make this a symbol and make a symbolic punishment here of Luigi, the alleged group. And instead, the mainstream media is not focusing on the fact that healthcare should not depend on how much wealth you have.
I mean, personally, if we're going with the notion that Luigi did it, and if you're assuming that, I don't feel scared. I think I share that sentiment with 99% of the people in the country, in the world, when I say I'm not scared of him if he was walking on the street today. And if you are scared, it says something about what your company or what your actions have caused normal people to go through. If your company profits off of the backs of people who need a service, require help, if your loyalty is with the shareholders, if your loyalty is with the stock price over giving health to people who need it, then it makes sense why you would be scared of that.
Most of the billionaires in this country, there's hundreds of them, and they don't want the attention, rightfully so. Because then the question comes in, how did you make those billions of dollars? How did you extract that
Politicians
capital?
do not work for you.
How did you steal that day in and day out? Who can't get help?
I don't have a chance on.
And most of them don't want to answer.
The media coverage of this is very skewed towards violence, terrorism.
Luigi, thanks for showing up.
Violence is the answer.
Alright, cool. I didn't realize it was like sarcastic.
Oh, okay.
I was like, wait, I don't get how.
That's a good point.
No, it's not sarcastic.
I mean,
Young
yeah,
people are stupid.
A point that like I'm okay.
Every single one of them at their time was discussed as a terrorist of
Exactly.
their time. And now we reflect back that because they actually made real positive change for the society by in radical actions, now we don't discuss them as terrorists. But every time that they exist and they're doing their action, they're discussed as terrorists. So it's something to really just continue that conversation of.
I am not optimistic about our politicians, especially the old guard currently in office, especially these older people.
that make a lot of money off of stocks every year and that control government policies in order to make more money off of their stocks to benefit these companies so they make more and more money every year. I do not trust those people.
Her sign is
to be
cool.
in my best interest. I trust people like Bernie Sanders and AOC who've been saying the same message for decades. Well, AOC not for decades, but Bernie Sanders absolutely for decades. But yeah, I'm a lot more optimistic in the American people, especially the American youth. If you're Republican or Democrat, I want you to come out and I want you to get involved in politics and I want you to educate yourselves. We're all together here, red, blue, there's no division. We're all in this together. This is our country. Let's fight for it, guys, okay?
Appreciate you guys.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, he's definitely they're making him into a folk hero because it's working.
Yeah. And I think in a lot of ways, the reaction to his action by the powers that be has only accelerated his rise as a sort of Dark Knight / Joker-like figure. And I think it's only accelerating more and more people towards the mindset of it's single payer or bust. And that's a very powerful place to be, Steve. But as you've pointed out many times before, we cannot vote our way out of this. We can only fight our way out of this. And if it is a class-conscious war, which seems to be happening, and we all know that the powers that be are going to suppress our channel, they'll suppress others. That's why I was pointing out on Status Quo earlier with Jen that when you see some of these channels that are seemingly on the side of United Health and against Luigi, they're doing it for money because they know that the corporate algorithm will boost their channel. Little do they know, especially as we saw, as Jen and I had pointed out, with Ben Shapiro's channel, when he pulled that shit, and then his own audience was like, I've been rat fucked by this health system forever.
Yeah.
Who in the fuck do you think you are? I'll tell you who Ben Shapiro is. He's no different than Brian Thompson.
He's the anti-Luigi.
Yeah.
He's the anti-Luigi.
They're one and the same.
Yep.
David Pakman, same thing. Tim Pool, same thing. With all due respect, guys, this is all about money and power. It doesn't matter where it comes from.
Yeah, they're on a grift. They're doing it for the money. I mean,
I don't believe for one fucking second that they believe it. They know that Mangione was justified. They know that this system is completely broken and that eventually the people are going to rise up. But for them, their attitude is, well, as long as I can grift my way to a few $100,000 or $1 million more, I'm going to do it because their moral compass is dead, doesn't exist.
I want to just say something. So one of the things we've talked about a lot since this happened, or at least that I've talked about a lot, Steve, and one of the things that I think I always sort of share with you is this concept as to what really is violence and what constitutes violence against us. And the idea that, you know, that austerity is murder and that denial of healthcare is violence. Imposing on my reproductive freedom is violence against me. And so what they look at, and by they, I mean the oligarch class that is so shocked that something like this would happen, what they look at as something that was done in cold blood. They like to use that phrase. He was killed in cold blood. That implies that it was completely unprovoked and he was just sitting there minding his business. No, he was involved in violence against thousands of people. And the fact that people don't see it as that is the problem. So I feel like it's incumbent upon me to consistently point that out. So you don't get to be committing violence and then act shocked when somebody acts in defense of others or in self-defense, because that's what it was. If somebody was standing on the street corner just shooting people and Luigi Mangione came and took him out, people would be singing his praises. Thank you for saving us. And you wouldn't go up to him and say, well, there'll just be someone else shooting up people again anyway, so why bother doing it that way? You wouldn't say it like that. And I'm just sick of it because to me, I feel like they're perpetrating violence on us. So it pisses me off.
If you go back to Michael Brown, and I think we all remember him laying in the street in St. Louis, okay?
Yes.
I was doing videos called It's Expensive Being Poor. And I talked about how the local state police or the local police, et cetera, funds itself on the backs of poor people through fines, fees, and penalties. Okay. And I talked about at length, 100%, about how the system is used for violence, how all the austerity, when they reduce spending, when they do these, this is violence. Somebody, maybe not you, because maybe you did a couple good things with your investment portfolio, right? But for the average person, when they cut spending, your state government hits first, right? They start laying off people. Then businesses start laying off people. Then all of a sudden, everybody is in this pool fighting each other to work the second shift at night, third shift, whatever, at Walmart, stocking shelves. Suddenly they're driving 3 states away. Do you remember what it was like during the great financial crisis, how they would interview people from West Virginia talking about how they were driving from West Virginia down to Georgia just to get a job, blah, blah, blah. This is what they do to us. And believe me when I say this, a lack of rest is lethal to the body. We were made for rest. We were made for food, good food, not just fucking fast food, but good quality, nutritious food. Okay. We don't get that anymore. We don't get any of this. All of this is violence that has been brought on by a capital order that wants to make a better profit. So they put more steroids, they put more preservatives, they put more poisons in our food because it benefits the capital order, not the people that are consuming it. Every single one of the things that are done in society today have nothing to do with our benefit at all. In fact, schooling is there to teach us how to be good simps for the system, to salute the flag and be very proud of proud be American, where at least I know I'm free. And
free to what? Free to be
shit.
A wage slave.
Every last fucker. And I sit there and I'm not gonna lie, I get shit in my own home for telling, I want my kids to understand not to be robots for the system. But the problem is there's a yin and a yang to that, right? You also don't want them to be outcasts. You want them to be able to not get beat up every day. You want them to be able to, survive and thrive and so forth. So how do you parent in this system while they're literally filling your child full of shit, full of lies, full of nonsense, okay?
I make my kids read James Clavell, a children's story. Have you read a children's story by James Clavell?
No, I have not.
Okay, you need to read. It's
next
like
on my reading list now.
It's like it would take you like less than an hour. I mean, not even. I mean, like it's a kids for kids.
Right. Real quick, I want to say something. I remember going back to 2015, 2016, when Debbie Lusignan, Debbie the Sane Progressive, was around. And for those who don't remember her.
When I first found you was her and Claudia and you.
Yeah, and I was, me and Arn Manconi and Claudia did this thing, Love Progressive Style. The 3 of us did a show together. Yeah. We did all kinds of fun stuff back in the day. But Debbie, as she kept going further and further away, there was a group of people, okay, that before they knew anything had already come up with the reason why it's not true. Luigi's been set up. He's not really the killer. So-and-so didn't do it. He's not really the killer. They're so fucking sure that they know this. I don't want to get caught up in that stuff. I don't care really at this point. I mean, I don't have any impact one way or the other.
It's not relevant to the main part of the
It's not the point. The point is that we are being killed by a system, and somebody, rightly or wrongly, stood up against that system. Okay. And what I'm here to say is that a lot more of us need to get real comfortable with being uncomfortable. Yes. And that means that, I'm sorry, your I voted sticker and I phone back for Bernie and all the other stuff that makes people, AOC and all. I love you, AOC. You know who I'm talking, the type, right? We got to get people like that to wake the fuck up.
They need to take the red pill. And unfortunately, but it's like some of them, I've always thought like, okay, I've had this thought, like my mother-in-law, for example, is an example of someone that if I could hold her down and strap some sort of thing that infused cannabis smoke into her mouth to just like force her to have it, to make her even be able to like just, I feel like we might have to force feed people the red pill at some point.